Brian, thank you so much for being here with us. You're a long way from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I sure am.
Okay. Well, now what? You've heard what Patrick and I have discussed.
Right.
You have similar ordinances in Massachusetts, and what has been the effect of that?
Right. Well, first, what I can tell you is that what's happened here did not happen by accident. It was supported by national gay and lesbian groups, such as the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, which on their website is very prominent about how they go from city to city, organizing these things, funding these things. There's big money behind them, big corporate money. Every time you take a Southwest Airlines, money comes in to support this kind of thing. Same thing with Wells Fargo Bank. And
Ford Motor Company?
Yeah. This was very, very well planned and well executed. The reason that it got through the city council so easily is because they're very shrewd at how they lobby the legislators. And the reason that they're so focused on these anti-discrimination laws is because they are the staging ground for much more radical things that happen afterwards. Once gender identity and sexual orientation is written into the law, you can go enormous places. And you know, the law here, if you actually read the city statute, it talks about public accommodations, which includes bathrooms. It talks about differentiating. In other words, if at a public accommodation or your business you differentiate, somebody says, I don't like that guy in a dress, that opens you up to lawsuits. It opens you up to all kinds of legal punishments. It talks about benefits, company benefits, health care benefits. There's all, you know, a man who's transitioning to become a woman, there are interesting health issues that go on there.
Oh, medical costs.
Medical costs, city contracts. Let me tell you, and if you read the legislation, any company, whether they're based in Omaha or not, will have to also not only have these kinds of policies in place, be forced to file compliance reports that they support transgenderism and support all of these other homosexual issues. And finally, facilities, city facilities. Boy Scouts using city facilities, if they don't have the same plan, the same non-discrimination plan of gender identity and sexual orientation, they can be barred from using any city facilities, as can churches. So this is meant as a staging ground to many, many other things. And some of the other things that happen that I can tell you have happened in Massachusetts, soon after the sexual orientation, law was passed, the gay legal groups sued the state police because the state police were stopping these gay guys who were cruising at public rest stops on the interstate. And the city and they sued the state police because they said that was discriminatory. And so let's just say you don't want to stop at a rest stop in Massachusetts at night. The public nudity laws are often challenged. The bathrooms. This is a serious thing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, men in dresses use women's bathrooms when these laws got passed. There was I don't know if they have Cheesecake Factory restaurants around here.
We do.
But there was a person that I talked to who was having a birthday party for his daughter at the Cheesecake Factory. The daughter went to the bathroom, came screaming outside because there was a man in there. Now, and this wasn't, a sexual predator. This was a guy in a dress.
Okay.
And he complained, and they told them they had to leave.
Yeah, that's outrageous to me.
This is where this is going.
Well, see, and everyone really needs to listen up out there, because this is a state who has passed these ordinances in various cities. This is what the fallout, the negative impact of what this kind of ordinance does. So men wearing dresses go into restaurants just to test them, just to push them. This has been in the paper. I mean, it's the other thing that starts to happen is the gay groups do these things called kiss-ins, where groups of guys will go into a downtown restaurant at the busy time and start kissing each other.
And if the restaurant does anything or the management does anything, they can get fined, they can get, thrown, all kinds of things. One bar in downtown Boston got fined $200,000 because they threw a couple of guys out that were kissing in front of everybody.
Right, and this is pushing the envelope. And quite frankly, this is just one of the things that I don't like about these special interest groups, is that they push it to the limit. They cross that line just to see what will happen or what will make their point.
Well, that's the point of doing these things.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I could go on and on. There was a dating service that was forced, this was in New Jersey, that was forced to have a homosexual section of their dating service. This was a Christian dating service. And they were forced to have a special, website for gay dating. This was the New Jersey courts found this because they were sued over the non-discrimination laws, and they actually sort of went out of business.
See, now what I don't understand is why, if the homosexual community wants to have a gay dating site, why don't they just set one up their own? Why require a company who is into a Christian dating? That's their business.
Well,
why force them? How can they force them to do that?
Well, you see, you're thinking like a conservative. That's how we would react.
Right.
But this lobby wants to change society.
Okay.
That's why they're doing
All right.
this. It's like, in Vermont, there was the bed and breakfast, where, these are people that I know personally, where they didn't want to have a lesbian wedding reception. Because of the anti-discrimination laws, they had to pay $30,000.
Wow.
And they're about to go out of business.
Do you hear that, businesses in Omaha? And I think Grand Island, too, passed something similar.
And, the other issue that we're talking about is, these are very sort of lunatic issues. I mean, gender identity in the medical literature is known as gender identity disorder. Okay. It is a disorder in the DSM manual, DSM-4 manual, that needs help. And, this business of having a man having his breasts augmented through hormones or through silicone, or having his private parts taken off, or women having facial hair, this is a disorder.
Well, those are all medical costs, too, that we'll all end up sharing pain.
And we had ex-transgenders give testimony before the Massachusetts legislature saying, don't support this.
Right.
We needed help back then. We did not need this. But, and then you have the parades. You will have, and this has happened in Massachusetts on at least 2 different occasions, women who have had their breasts surgically removed, parading bare-chested down the street just to push it in everybody's face. So these are the kinds of things that start to happen, but I want to, it gets even worse than that, because it's the public schools. The public schools...
Well, tell us about this, Brian. We need to know about it.
Well, I mean, the public schools will have, I know you can't see this, but, transgender students, you have the right in Massachusetts to wear a dress if you're a boy, and we will go to court against the school if they don't like it. These are what the gay groups are telling kids. They're having Celebrate Bisexual Awareness Days. This was in my own kids' high school. There are books. This book was given in kindergarten, telling that you can have 2 mothers or 2 fathers, and it's the same as your own mother and father. And this was in kindergarten, and when the father and mother took this to court, the federal judge in Boston said that they didn't have the right to opt out their kids because of the laws in Massachusetts.
Really?
So this is where this stuff is going.
Now, is this a state law, Brian, or is this local ordinance, city ordinance?
Well, this is. Let me get into that, because that's very interesting. The strategy that the gay lobby has is to start in cities. First, they'll start in the big city, and they've written about this. And once they get it passed in a big city, then they'll get surrounding towns to do it.
And that's what's happening here.
And then they go to the state legislature, and they say, look, the sky hasn't fallen. This city, in Boston, they started with the city of Boston, they went to Cambridge, and then they went to the state legislature. Hey, well, Boston has it, Cambridge has it, why don't we have it statewide?
Right, very good.
And so this is where this goes. And, some of the other things they'll have is they will give kids information saying that the Bible is actually wrong about this. that the gay groups will go into the schools. God didn't say that kind of thing.
Did you hear about the Colorado school who put out a survey, and one of the questions was, and this was in a public school, one of the questions was, do you think you're a heterosexual because you have not yet had a good homosexual experience?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's, but in the elementary school where my daughter went to kindergarten, a third grade teacher who was a man decided to start coming dressed as a woman.
See, that's the other problem I raised with this.
And this happened, and one of the mothers was extremely distraught, pulled her child out of the public school system because they told her, you don't have a choice, we're going to do this.
Right.
And so these are the kinds of things. This is a staging ground by putting this into the law for all of these other things. And, you know, I think that what you have to understand is a little bit of context here. If somebody had told me 25 years ago that I'd be sitting here with you talking about this, I wouldn't have said, no, you're wrong. I would have said, you've probably lost your mind.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, because that is how, in the context of humanity, how lunatic these ideas are.
There is so much madness rampant at the local, state level, and across this country. It is absolutely mind-boggling. And parents, do you know what your kids are being taught? Do you know what they're being indoctrinated to believe? I know Millard schools out here, they practice that, they observe that April 14th day of observance of silence for the homosexual community. Now these are, we're paying taxes to have these teachers teach, but it's okay for our kids to go in there and remain silent that entire day.
Complete propaganda.
Yes.
Right. And, you know, this stuff will happen here because it's happening in other places around the country. And these laws are the staging ground, as I said. Once it's written into law, everything starts moving forward. Okay,
well, and that's the important point, too, that we're trying to make here, is that this is just the beginning, as with everything else.
So, Pastor Dave Geryhls has some other thoughts on this.
Okay, well, Brian, thank you so much for giving us an update on what's going on in Massachusetts and what we can actually expect to see happen here if we don't stop it and don't sign that petition. So I'm sure you'll keep us in touch, and you'll be reachable through my website with the link.
Sure.
With the website link to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And then the next guest is Dave Geryhls. He's Christ for the City, but he is here as an individual. And he's a steering committee member with the Omaha Liberty Project. So now we start